I'm not gonna go anywhere without leaving my mark. I'll be the greatest artist there possibly is.
X was born a star.
X's debut album rose to #1.
I feel attached to you guys as if you were my own family.
This is arguably one of the most important artists ever.
You're a fighter? You've been getting a lot of fights?
Bro, I've been fighting since I was a kid. If I'm gonna die or ever be a sacrifice, I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy.
Police are now investigating the death of a popular rapper apparently targeted while shopping for a motorcycle.
He was approached by 2 armed suspects in what appears to be an apparent robbery.
His death brought tributes from across hip-hop.
What he brings is conflict, and you're conflicted about how you felt about him.
XXXTentacion is being charged with domestic battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and witness tampering.
He was diagnosed bipolar. This is a very strategic person.
I believe in past lives and future lives.
How did they know where he was going to be? How did they know he had a bag of cash on him?
And you just have to wonder what could have been different.
As of 2022, there's been a staggering number of well-known or established rappers who've been murdered.
He deserved to be treated like a regular citizen.
The families need closure and justice.
I'm not interested in a kumbaya. Somebody died. It's just too late.
I'm Van Lathan, and I'm on a mission to dig into cases that seem to have been neglected or abandoned, and shed light on the stories and the people so they aren't forgotten.
50 Cent, why did you feel like you had to make this show?
We're not attempting to solve a crime that's been solved.
I got you. We're asking questions and trying to get answers.
We'll track down never-before-heard eyewitnesses and expose internet rumors.
So everybody was just pointing fingers because nobody had the answers.
And to get to the one thing that lets people have justice and closure. And that one thing is the truth.
They took a jewel away from us. I want the truth to be out.
This is Hip Hop Homicides.
We're here in South Florida. We're here to talk about a young man who many thought was going to be one of the biggest stars in the genre for years and years to come.
His name was Jahseh Onfroy, and you knew him as XXXTentacion.
I'm one of the most innovative youth to this day.
Very inspirational.
Force to be reckoned with. Just the number of people who have asked me to interview you is insane.
But you can tell he's actually an intelligent individual.
You're gonna speak for people that can't speak. I'll be okay with getting some hate for doing something good. I'll be okay with this.
By age 20, XXXTentacion had made 2 multi-platinum records, signed a $10 million record deal, and earned a global cult following. He was a different sort of rap star. Someone that didn't fit the archetype of a lot of South Florida rappers. He wasn't gangster, wasn't talking about the street life. He was talking about his emotions, his plight, and his feelings. He talked openly to his fans on social media about his personal struggles and difficult topics, like mental health and suicide.
I'm still a human. I'm still a human. I'm still a normal person. I still have qualities about myself that I would like to change.
He reached out with his pain and his music to an entire generation of kids on SoundCloud. SoundCloud was the place for a young, up-and-coming rapper to tap in directly to his fans. That's why it was unfiltered, that's why it was raw, and that's why it resonated. And we have to make sure that you know this. X had a troubled past.
Armed robbery, armed burglary,
Allegations of domestic abuse.
possession of a firearm, because you made one mistake, resisting without violence,
Battery by strangulation.
grand theft of 3 charges.
A lot of charges.
I'm gonna make who hate me. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be the supervillain. I'm gonna make this whole thing crumble.
As sordid as his past was, many felt he was becoming the new voice for a generation, until his life was cut tragically short at just 20 years old.
This is Riva Motorsports. It's an outlet here that sells motorcycles, boats, ATVs, that type of thing. It's also the last place XXXTentacion ever came in his life.
On the afternoon of June 18th, 2018,
He pulls up here in his BMW i8. He goes inside with a family member to buy a motorcycle. Little did he know, he was being followed.
4 alleged assailants were watching his every move.
After about 30 minutes, he comes outside. He gets to about right here, and this is where it happens. That camera right there was a witness to it. Saw the whole thing unfold. They block him in. The assailants jump out. They try to rob him. There is a tussle. He fights back. He gets killed. One of the most promising hip-hop artists in the world at that time is killed right here.
Within just 7 weeks, the police have all 4 suspects, who they believe are the men in the surveillance video, in custody, and they charge them with excess murder. Robert Allen, Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom.
Now, there's still questions that remain.
How did the alleged perpetrators know where to find us? Was he being followed? And if so, why? Were they aware he was carrying $50,000 in cash on him? Or was there a far darker motivation behind the attack that online conspiracy theories have alluded to? And lastly, why does this keep happening to our hip-hop icons?
Those are the questions we have to ask. Those are the answers we have to find out.
We're on our way to meet with Cleo, XXXTentacion's mother. I want to get a deeper understanding of her firstborn and what happened in the days leading up to his murder.
Why was it important for you to talk with us today?
Well, as you know, we did a documentary previously, and everything surrounding his death, we didn't divulge too much into. So I think this was a perfect opportunity to do so, to kind of give his fans closure.
You had a very public funeral for him.
Mm-hmm.
Why was that important?
I felt as if Jesse created a whole fan base. I felt it would have been selfish to not allow them an opportunity to grieve him, because he didn't just belong to me, he belonged to them as well. He was an open book. He would leave his DMs open. He would, he's constantly on live, connecting with his fans. He created this bond with them. So when he died, of course I picked out his clothes. I wanted to stay true to him. And so I buried him, in his Gucci jacket with his basketball shorts and his favorite sneakers. I braided his hair exactly the same. I painted his nails black. 2 weeks before I went to LA, he kept saying, "Mom, I want you to paint my nails black."
Do you mind if I ask you how it felt when you found out he had been killed?
My soul left my body. I don't know, I just had this pull from my stomach area, like this feeling that I had of your kid soul being ripped from your stomach.
How do you go about healing from something like that?
I don't think you ever heal. I think you just learn to live with it every day.
When was the last time you saw him?
June 18th was the last I saw him. He died on that day, a couple hours later.
Can you take us through that day for you?
I had just came in that morning, and John was like, we got to talk about, what's coming up, which was him having to turn himself in. He died on Monday. He was supposed to turn himself in on Tuesday.
XXXTentacion was facing charges stemming from a 2016 ongoing domestic assault case. The day after his murder, he was set to turn himself in for witness tampering. If convicted, he would have faced up to 20 years in prison.
Last conversation was him potentially running, and he was like, do you think I could run? And I told him, absolutely not. First things first, you can't run. Where are you going to hide? You have blue hair, face tats.
Famous.
Yeah, they're going to freeze your account, so that's out of the question. And then he just got up casually and was like, I want to go buy a bike. That didn't make sense to me, but I realized that he was anxious about what was coming. So I said, well, let me get security together for you. And he was like, no, they're going to take too long. So I said, well, you need somebody to drive your car back in the event that you do get the bike. So I made a phone call. I called my younger son's uncle, and I asked him. He said he would. Ja left the house, went to the bank, and he did say he wanted to get a large sum of money, and I told him, you can't get that kind of money from the bank. You're going to have to order that. He called me and said, Mom, you're right. I wasn't able to get that much, but I got this. And I said, you sure you don't want me to go with you? Because I just wanted to, spend the time with him. And he was like, no, I need you to stay. And he said, I love you. And that was our last conversation.
Do you take any meaning from that conversation?
No, at the time, no.
It's What's curious that X decided to buy a motorcycle and go without security the day before turning himself in. Was there more to that decision than we know? I'm headed now to speak with someone who had a deep understanding of X's music and his leap from underground artist to cultural sensation, his manager, Solomon Sabande. And I want to get his take on what might have motivated X's murder. Tell us who you are.
I am a artist manager. I am a A&R record executive. I worked on a bunch of projects, J. Cole projects, Beyonce projects.
You talk about names like Beyonce, you talk about names like J. Cole. Those are mega supernova stars. Were you able to recognize traits in Jahseh that kind of reflected some of those big, huge people that you had been around with before?
100%. I mean, what really set it off for me, even though as interesting as he looked, the music, it was like almost nothing that I personally have ever heard of. Somebody that even had the guts kind of to take the artistic liberties, to kind of play with genres.
I do alternative rock, like a melancholy indie, all the way down to an old school boom bap rap.
And just mixing all of that into one identity.
You're excited, man. You're inspired by this kid. Like, why so much?
Because this was the most exciting artist of our generation, and I was blessed enough to basically be able to not only be there, but to help. This is arguably one of the most important artists ever.
I know it's difficult, but can you talk to us at all about his attack?
I think what happened was, he went to the bank, he pulled out a large sum of cash. People probably saw this as an opportunity. Oh, let's rob him. They followed him to Reba Motorsports and unfortunately murdered him. And Jahseh was a person with such a big of a heart. Maybe if you would have asked nicely enough, he might even gave you that $50,000. If you needed it to help your kids or whatever, he was that type of person.
When it happened, there were a lot of people who had a lot of thoughts on it, that maybe somebody tipped him off somewhere, somebody saw him. Did you get into any of that?
I was very paranoid when he first got killed. Even anytime I was in Florida after that, was honestly scared, not really knowing what's going on, where is this coming from. This is somebody that was vilified by the public. This is somebody that had an amazing work ethic. This is somebody that made incredible music. This is modern day pop. Part of me thought that if anybody set it up, it was Ja.